21 minutes past the hour of 7 and you're still watching Sunrise at Sea. March is the month of the women, and today, wrapping up the week in style, we look at women in sports. Well, I'm no expert when it comes to this particular conversation, so joining me is none other than Miss Anisha Muhozi, and she is the CEO of KCCA-FC. Well, she also has her expertise in administration, procurement, project management, as well as football management. Now, she did take over from Josephine Namukisa, who resigned from KCCA-FC. I'm so excited for Anisha to be here. One, because, you know, we CTV together with KCCA-FC are partnering together to make sure that we tackle sports. There is so much talent in when it comes to the sports fraternity that has been left untapped. Good morning, Anisha, and thank you so much for joining us today on Sunrise at Sea.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Our sponsor, yes, here we are.
Yeah, we should be toasting to like a glass of champagne or something.
We should.
So March is the month of the women. So my first question that I'm going to ask you is, how do you feel about the month of the women in regard to celebrating women in sports?
For starters, I want to appreciate everyone that has fought to see that women get a space up in society.
Yes.
It's not been a very simple battle, and the battle still continues on, especially in the African community, where we have quite a lot of stereotypes as regarding the women and what they should and should not do. So obviously, having a day that is set out worldwide, globally, and it is recognized that this is the day where women are actually uplifted, and the message is just being spread out across the world that, look, women need to come out of their zones. You don't need to isolate women from each and everything. It's very special to us as women, and the fact that it is recognized globally really speaks a lot of volume. So I'm very, very happy about the month of March, where we get to shout more loudly about women emancipation and everything that goes in that package.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at the different sports organizations that we have in Uganda. Let's take a look at them as a whole and look at how many women actually lead these organizations. We have, for example, when we look at the president of the Gymnastics Association, that is Immaculate Nalada, she's a lady. We have the president of the Uganda Volleyball Federation, that is Hadija Namanda. We have the one who is in charge of the Netball Association, that is Susan Anek. Would you say that women in Uganda have had enough representation when it comes to sports?
I wouldn't say really enough, but I think we're on a very good trajectory. You didn't mention that the Ministry of Education and Sport is actually headed by a woman. When you break it down, you come to the National Council of Sport. They recently appointed a board, and I think out of a body of 11, we have about four or five female there.
Yes.
When you come to, recently I just saw in the Motocross Federation, where we had a woman being appointed. I think Leila Blick was appointed as the General Secretary. That's motocross is more like also a male-dominated industry. When we come to football, where I hail from, the Executive Committee of FUFA, among its 10 members, they have 2 women representatives there. So I would say I don't want to use the word enough, but I think we are getting a fair representation. We're on a very good trajectory, and yeah, we are having representation in almost every area.
You're out here today giving words of encouragement and hope and saying, yes, we can do this. Yes, we are getting there.
We can do it.
Do you think that there are enough opportunities in Uganda for women to excel when it comes to sports?
Yes, they are there. They are there. They are there. It's just that they have not been tapped into.
So what are some of these opportunities?
I mean, there are, when you look at, like now, I would say the game of football, we've had women that have been there that have opened up the space, and more women are now coming in, okay, from the administrative role, leave alone the field of play, okay, but even on the administration side of the game. there are opportunities in the game of football. Football is one of the sports that commands a lot of people. So there is quite a lot that needs to be done, right from the gate management. There are so many people that need to work on a game day to make it successful. And we can have a number of women come and take up those opportunities. But even outside of those, the various areas, the various sports, there is quite a lot that can be done. It's just that sport in Uganda has not yet even achieved 30% of what it should achieve. Sport has the ability to grow this economy. It has the ability to make money that is, because sport is consumed by almost everyone, you know. Yes. It doesn't isolate, it doesn't take away people, so it unites everyone. It has the ability to actually grow and make a lot of money, but it's just that we haven't tapped into it, and that is because of the understanding of sport. Sport is treated as a co-curricular activity. Anyone who goes into sport, they look at you, well, in the past, like a failure. Why are you, I mean, you can't make a profession out of sport, so people are not exactly enticed to join it, but there are immense opportunities right from the administration, right from the actual playing of the sport. It can make money, but right now it's not lucrative and it's not enticing people because it has not been able to earn the money that it should earn. So people kind of like shun away from it. But so many areas, it can be run, sport can be run like a professional organization. And that's what I think us at KCCA we aimed out to do. We aimed to run the football club like any corporate organization, because that is what the game actually requires. That is what sport actually requires. And because of that, you find that at the club, we have a staff force of people that are on the payroll, a staff force of 70, okay? Those are just at the football club. Now, when you add on the volunteers that come and make match days and everything, we have about 200 people that are connected to the sport. So imagine if every other club or every other area had that. Those are so many opportunities that can be tapped to, right from the marketing arm, right from the people who are selling items in these stadiums, right from so many areas. I can't really break them down, but there's a lot of potential, there's a lot of opportunity. It just hasn't been tapped into.
There is something fundamental that you pointed out, and you said sports, especially when it comes to Uganda, is regarded as a co-curricular activity. For very many people, when you went into the world of sports, they would probably deem you as a failure. You failed to study, so now you're into sports. But also, don't you think that it all goes back to even our school setup? Because how many schools in the country will they say that, okay, now girls, you will be allowed to go for netball, go and play football. They'll tell you, girls, no, go and pill mat, okay? Let the boys go and do the sporting activities. So don't you think it even goes down up to the kind of schools that we go to the upbringing of our parents, to the stigmatization of a woman or a girl child coming out to say that, you know what, daddy and mommy, even while I'm studying this math and science, I would like to pursue football. I would like to make it my career. They'll tell you, no, that can wait, first study.
Exactly, and that is why I said that the bias, the month of women is about breaking the bias, and those are the biases that are there with sport, okay? But I'm happy that slowly by slowly the bias is starting to, you know, yes, be eradicated a bit, but it's still there. And yes, you are right when you say that it starts from the setup where we are brought up. Sport is looked as, it's not looked at something that you can focus on, like how it is overseas. Overseas, if they identify that a child actually has a specific interest, they may not even bog them down. But our education system, the way it is here, it's all about first focus into class, and then sport is something that, you know, it's not looked at something where you can make money in future. So yes, that has a lot to do with how everything is structured, and those are some of the things that need to change, and that's why we need people to be able to advocate for this. We need a lot of advocacy in these areas such that sport can be given its rightful place. Because if it's not given its rightful place, then we are going to continue having the same issues, and people who are naturally talented may even shun away from it because it's not supported, it doesn't bring in the money, it's looked at as, you know, once you choose to say I'm going in for sport, you are shied away from and like, but it doesn't mean that someone shouldn't get an education. They should, because it is also necessary. An athlete or any sportswoman who is educated is on a different level altogether. But we need to encourage it. We need to encourage it, and this is why the people that are out there need to actually advocate for some of these things to actually change. But otherwise, the stereotype is there.
Absolutely. So in your capacity as CEO of KCCFC, and I know your love for sports has gone far and beyond, when you sit back and look at the kind of achievements that women in sports have made over time, which ones have actually stood out for you?
There's so many. I think, but I want to focus on the most recent one in the AFCON that were recently concluded, where we had the Rwandan referee take up the stage and officiate a game. It was very humbling to see Salma out there in the field of play, officiating, and boy, she had a good game. That incident actually brought, I think, tears to my eyes, because knowing where women have come from, and for her to take up center stage in a competition of that magnitude, yes, and not only taking up center stage but actually delivering beyond expectations, for me was very humbling. And I think that is like the most recent. But also on that AFCON, we had Ugandan Asha Komjesha, who was reporting on behalf of the BBC. So even that was, yes, we are getting there. So we are getting there. Yes, we are getting there. We have a referee, Rwandese, just our neighbors here, and they were taking center stage. So for me, that was the most recent, and was very humbling to see that have a woman take up such a big space and actually delivering.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's change gears and look at the gender inequality. How has gender inequality affected women when it comes in sports?
It does have a great deal. And I think it's gender inequality is not only in sport only, it cuts across all, but we'll be very specific and center the discussion to sport. It does cut across. Look at even the World Cup, the female World Cup that was being held. You look at the money that the male World Cup, okay, I do agree that yes, football in the male brings in more money, and it's not the same dynamics in the women field. But I mean, the tone is already set from that level that, look, women's sport is that. And that's why you see that FIFA is actually coming in to try and bridge the gap. FIFA is injecting in a lot of money in women sport, such that they can encourage women to come up and take up. They're encouraging countries to actually support the girl child in playing the game. They are doing all sorts of things because they probably want to break that stereotype that is there, and try to grow the sport. But gender inequality has a lot to do, and it starts from the perception. It goes to even the attribution. How much does a woman playing sport, how much does she earn? How much does she get? I'll tell you that at our club, we know that the agenda of CAF is that we should have a female team. We should have a football team that is female, okay? But we based on the issues, yes, we know that we are supposed to be there, and it's part of what is going to be part of our strategic plan, but it's not something that we are very enthusiastic about, because even the male field is not doing so well as yet. So we are thinking, okay, now if we venture into the women's sport. Recently, you saw over the weekend there was a game at Chitende where the girls were playing, yes, and there was free entrance. But how many people turned up for that game? So that goes a lot to show you of how women are perceived in sport. Some people say, what will women do in a football match? What do you expect from them? Even when they do a mistake that is obvious, and okay, maybe not obvious, a mistake in the game that even men do, they stereotype it and say, that is a woman, what do you expect? What do you expect? You know, and that is the saying that is out there. So yes, there's a lot of gender inequality, right from the pay, right from the stereotypes and everything. There's a lot of stigma around women in the game, and that is one of the things that is causing so many women to actually hold back, to pull back and not want to get associated in sport, because at the end of the day, you have to fight so many demons, okay?
Yes.
You have to fight so many demons, and at the end of the day as well, you are not also bringing in money. So women choose to go in for other opportunities, other ventures, because I mean, the game does not earn them, it brings them a lot of emotional trauma, so why go in for it?
Interesting, because we still do have a number of demons to fight, and you know, gender inequality and breaking the bias and, you know, the stigma and the stereotyping is already so much for us to handle. However, what other challenges do women in sports face, and what is the way forward?
Some of them I've actually mentioned them, but I think one of the biggest one is the stigmatization, okay? Even me, I've been in the game for 4 years, but up to date I face the stigmatization. You know, every other time I am attacked. There probably, if something goes wrong at the club, they say, "What do you expect? It is a woman who is there. What do you expect? She hasn't played the game." So all those stereotypes, even when something can genuinely be done by a man, like a mistake, it can be done by a man, or a failure can be done by a man. The mere fact that a woman is out there and is holding the candle out, they will put the blame on that women factor, on that bias, that it is because this is a woman that is actually doing them. So I don't know, overcoming it will take quite a lot of effort from so many people, not only the women, but I think the women that are out there who are holding the light. We need to do a good job. We need to pave the way such that those that are coming before us find it easier. We need to pay the price now. And how do we pay the price? We pay the price, but while we are doing a good job, such that we are not looked at as failures, okay? Because at the end of the day, we will be a point of reference. That, you see, when Anisha was there, such and such happens, such and such happens. And for me, those are some of the things that, you know, I have to take in every other day. You know, I know that I am there, but I am probably either setting the right path or the wrong path for those that will come after me. So those are some of the things that I try to do. Excellence. We have to be excellent in whatever we are doing. The women that are there, and that way it will encourage more people to actually trust women with some of these positions, with some of these, with some of these roles. We saw that in my field, Express Football Club hired a woman. Not a sports scientist, I'm forgetting what her actual term is, but the one that looks after the players' fitness and everything. And people were in shock. How can a woman, you know, be the one that is going to look after the players? These are male. But she did a good job. And she was able to open up. She's called Helen Buteme. She opened up a pathway for other people to actually, I think, look at women and say, oh, I think women can actually do it. So many inequalities are there, but I think the biggest one is the bias that has caused women to fear to actually break out and associate with sport because of fear of failure, fear of being out in the limelight, and because the moment you're a woman, you're singled out, and all eyes are actually on you. So fear of failure has caused them. So I think one of the ways we can do that is the ones that are there need to really do a good job such that they can encourage others to come in. Okay. And then not only stopping at doing a good job, but also encourage other women where they see opportunities where women can actually fit in, identify those opportunities and encourage other women to come and take up the mantle such that we can be able to eradicate some of this inequality that is there.
Okay, so as we wrap up the conversation, your last remarks in regard to the men, I would like you to speak to the boy child out there to, you know, promote and encourage women to be in sports, but also let us know, how do you deal with the stigma and the stereotyping and people constantly picking out on you and saying, okay, there was a mistake here, but well, the organization is led by a woman. How do you deal with that?
I think what I decided to do is zone that out. You know, when you focus on it, the negative energy, at some point, when I used to focus in it, it brought a lot of negative energy and it would derail me. I even feared doing the right thing. You know, even when I had an idea or something that I thought, oh, I think we can actually do this, I would fear because the fear of failure and then the fear of being abused and everything, you know, would make me hold back until I realized at some point that, hey, look, if I choose whatever they are saying about me to define me, then I am not going to move forward. I am going to remain in this zone. So I took a deliberate space to zone out.
Yes.
I can read, I can listen, but then in my heart of hearts, I made a decision that I will not be bothered by them for as long as I know what my conscience is, what they say. If I know it's not right, or even if it is right, can I pick out the positives out of what they are saying and try to improve them? So the simplest way, zone out. If you choose to focus on it, I'm telling you, you will not move a step ahead. You will constantly be held back. But to the boy child and to everyone out there, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the people that have encouraged the girl child to be where they are. I'd like to thank those that believed in me and put me where I am. I also couldn't believe it that, hey, I'd been singled out to to lead a male-dominated sport, you know, the leading club in the country. So I'd like to thank those that actually encourage women, pick out women and groom them as well, you know, encourage them even when they are failing. Those are the real stars out there. Those are the ones that we actually need to applaud. And if we had a number of those out there, then we wouldn't be having some of these issues that we are having.
Absolutely.
But to everyone out there, I'd like to encourage them to not give up, to encourage the girl child where they see their opportunities, because women can actually be very good leaders because of that motherly instinct that we actually have. But it's just that some of them, or us, we have not been given opportunities to actually explore and come out into these places. So holistically, that is what encouragement, encouragement, encouragement. And even when someone fails, lift them up and pat them on the back and tell them it will be well.
It will be well, indeed. Yeah. Well, there are two things that I've actually picked out from this interview. One is to, you know, keep encouraging yourself, keep going, but also people will always talk. I mean, people are there to talk, so zone it out. However, thank you so much, Anisha, for, you know, allowing to be a part of Sunrise at Sea. It has been an honor having you this morning. And of course, in regard to the fact that we are your official sponsors, so it's been an amazing time with you talking about women in sports. It's because of women like you who go out of your way to make sure that women are well represented when it comes to the sports fraternity, that we look up to you and we are encouraged that there is more to us that can actually meet the eye.
Thank you.
Well, that wraps up the conversation that we had for you this morning on the Twitter Jabs. However, stay tuned because we still do have an amazing show lined up for you. And Sarah Apollo is on standby, but not forgetting, today is a Friday and it is hashtag wear your local jersey. So it's time to go home, get your KCCA FC jersey, get it on because you must support the club. Well, Apollo Sarah is on standby with hit or miss. And this morning, they're going to be talking about hair fringes. Rihanna, Nicki Minaj style. Hi, Sarah.